Hi guys, today we're going to be looking at Bitcoin in a potential breakout scenario, and then I want to show you a simple trick that you can use to determine whether you need to be buying an alt or whether you still need to be sitting on those hands. So if you're interested to find out a little bit more, this is a beginner's guide to crypto hodling. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, share the video with a friend, and then let's get into this. So if you look at the charts where we're at now, as I've always said, Bitcoin does have a way that it functions within a 4-year cycle. And as everybody knows by now, after each halving, there's normally a new rally and a new all-time high being created. Halving 1, all-time high. Halving 2, all-time high. Halving 3, all-time high. And then halving 4, that was May last year, a year ago. And we pushed and we created a new all-time high. And the big question and the big worry around everybody's mind at this stage, if you're not new to crypto, is that, well, is the top then in and is it over and is there a real bear market coming? And what this chart basically says is no. Bitcoin still has more potential for upside. Now, how do I get to that little crazy comment or idea that I'm sharing with you guys? Is very simple. If we look at the timing set of a halving to halving, within that area, there's within those 4 years, there's normally an accumulation that occurs and a distribution that occurs. Something similar to this simplified chart that I'm showing you guys, meaning there's a bottom being created. This was potentially Bitcoin at 16,000. And then as the trend moves up, you'll have these sideways or kangaroo moments in the market when the price just basically stagnates between an upper and a lower range, chops around, creates a lot of uncertainty, then to only see then later that it breaks out. So if we take that back to the charts and we look at what Bitcoin is doing, we've been experiencing just that. Breakout, sideways, breakout, sideways, breakout, sideways. Well, sideways with a little bit of downside there to that. Okay, so in the simplest way, the argument is that what happens is when the market finds a base like this and it starts building between an upper and a lower range, that is reaccumulation that occurs. And the way that we measure the health for this is by looking at the RSI. So all we're trying to do, like in any of the past cycles, all we're trying to do is just to see whether we are creating strong bearish divergence, because by definition, although it says strong bearish divergence, it's a bullish momentum indicator. And only once we fall below the support that gets created at that pivot. So I'm going to mark that line, and I'm going to mark that line. So only once we fall below that range, that's when things become bear market. Bear market. So it means that although our altcoins have been, plummeted, and has been punished. I mean, if you look at the year, it's red. It's red. 60, 70, 40%. Those kind of things. Although those coins have been hurt extremely, it is purely just because of the dominance and not so much so because of Bitcoin turning bear market just yet. Now, the headline for the video is based on the idea that somewhere in that little candle set there, I'm seeing the beginnings of a breakout. And that breakout then is leaning to the support of an idea that if we go through the emotional market cycle, that the altcoins are now entering either an anger or a depression phase, meaning they've dumped so hard, nobody cares anymore. I was speaking to Peter this morning, and he was saying that he was looking at some of these coins, and he just closed it. and that's typically what happens. So you just give up. That's it. And if you're any one of those guys that have done that, I have done that as well. Let's just set the moving average that we are all human and we all fall victim to this emotional market cycle by giving me a comment in the comment section real quick and say that, hey, 777, I also done that, So Peter will bring up the comment there and just reply, 777. Okay. So now that we've established an idea that I'm still bullish, there's a timing component that I want to just rehash for the benefit of anybody new watching. So simply put, if I take away all these lines that you see, all these color zones, and I'm just going to clean up the screen briefly so that we can just see what I mean. If we look at the way the price moves between halvings, we find that from a timing point of view, if I take a fib, a time-based fib, so like a normal fib will work on levels, retracing, this one works on timing, simple. And I switch on the 38.2 and the 618, which is your golden ratio within time. I switch on that. And let's make the color nice and blue and make that nice and orange. There we go. And I do that. What we find is between halvings, Bitcoin tops out at around the 38.2 and bottoms out at around the 618. And the same is true. This is just a nicer looking version of that. The same is true for halving 2, topped out, bottomed out. And the previous cycle, halving 3, topped out, bottomed out. Now, for a lot of the cases, these lows around this area, people weren't too bearish. I have to admit, I was there, looked at that. The narrative of saying that there's more was not that bad. So the altcoins was performing way better at that stage. That's where the market is different at the stage. Okay. Now, the way that I can show you that is by bringing up the dominance. So if you look at BTC dominance around this area, you can see that at these lows, the dominance has been or was trending down already, meaning that money wasn't looking at Bitcoin, but it was using Bitcoin and the crypto market in general to look for better deals. People were hunting altcoins and holding onto their 100Xs and their 1000Xs bags like crazy. So that was a really good environment. But now here's the catch. As the market moved up to create the all-time high, the dominance stopped, and that's complacency. So typically, that is when everybody that got trapped in that pullback or was still looking for higher highs said, no worry, we just need to hold. And that complacency is normally the emotion that we need to see that traps people in what is then the next big bear cycle down. Now, if I take this information and I look at what we have now, we have not really had a real alt season as such. So we've got meme seasons, but those market caps are so tiny and insignificant, they haven't impacted the Bitcoin dominance chart at all. Okay. So we've got that situation where I think that the market's going to start moving now. The alts might not perform that great this cycle as we were hoping. There's much more of them at this stage, to be honest. So the market cap is getting diluted much easier than it was before. Okay. But let's say that there's this last little push that I'm going to show you now. The dominance will potentially only now start breaking down, because although Bitcoin, if you look at this, although Bitcoin still looks bullish from this perspective. I mean, if you're in that candle on the 15-minute, it looks bearish as hell. But if you look at it from a realistic hodler investor perspective, okay, we've got that scenario that the alts are so undervalued that money should now, if you know what you're looking for, not be looking at Bitcoin anymore, because Bitcoin has upward potential, say maybe 120. But the alts have got so much more potential. And that's where my attention is now going to start moving away from Bitcoin to these alts for that reason. Another reason why I would say I'm still bullish on Bitcoin from a timing point of view, just to end off the messages. When I say to you guys on these highs and lows, the top is normally around the 38.2, the bottom's around the 618. If I project 4 years into the future, roughly when the next halving is going to be, which is something you can almost set your clock to. And I move this on to say, okay, well, let's talk about the next 4 years. It's then simple to say, to assume, investor and trader rule number 1, always treat the trend as if it's going to last forever. I've clearly shown you guys a trend. So it's fair to assume that this is still potentially possible. And although the divergence is there, until we fall below pivots, which we haven't done yet, we have to treat this as bullish. I think I've made my case. Right? I think I've made my case. So now let's have a look at it. This is the new pivot. Once we fall below that, I would worry. Okay? We will need to go higher with more divergence. This wave is played out. Okay, there you have it, guys. So over to your comments real quick. Let's quickly see what everybody's on about. Let's see, Peter, anything that I need to catch my eye on? Let me know. Nothing. He's shaking his head. I'm nothing to read. No questions. Okay, good. If there's any questions, guys, drop them in the comment section. I will read them out at the end of the stream. And if there's anything that I can add or value that I can add to that, I will do that for you guys. Okay. Andrea is saying, little help. Remember just one thing, guys. I cannot provide any financial advice as I am not a professional. I do this for a living, and I just play the odds. And statistically, it's still enough time for us to make a nice big rally. Okay, over to the altcoins. So last week, I gave you guys two coins that I felt has got first mover potential. The one being Bitcoin Cash and the other one being AVAX. Now, last week, Friday, if I were to mark that out on the chart, when I did the stream with you guys, oops, we were there. The candle was somewhere in between there at around $300. And over the weekend, one Bitcoin Cash became $100 more expensive. So we saw a 28% increase in price. Now, if you guys bought Bitcoin Cash over the weekend, kudos to you. The whole perception around the rally was that we've had strong bullish divergence and everything that I wanted to see this thing moving. But as I said in today's stream, I want to show you as a beginner the easiest way to identify coins that can move first, or coins that are in a bull market so that you can, or in bullish momentum, so that you can play the emotional market cycle. Buy when people aren't believing it. Because if you look at the prices at the now, looking at the charts at now, it's fair to assume that people aren't believing that there's going to be a bull market. And the narrative for alt season, I mean, that hashtag was trending 6 months ago, a year ago. If I throw a Twitter post out with hashtag altcoin season, nobody even replies to that. So that's the reality of where we are. So I feel like that is something that's going to be coming our way, from a pure personal experience position. Okay, so let me show you this tool and trick. Let's see what we've got. We've got AVAX, yes, we've got Opez. Just watch it saying thank you for the knowledge. Opez, cheers, buddy. Nice to have you. Okay, so now let's have a look at this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Bitcoin Cash as maybe what I'll do is I'll use AVAX because Bitcoin Cash moved nicely and AVAX only but surely now starting to move. Okay, so it's now sitting at around 12%. So Bitcoin Cash did its 30%. AVAX will probably still go and push up to around 23% for today. So it's only getting there. So it's a little slower. And if we look at the gainers for today, I mean, AVAX is up 5%. ETH 5%, Bitcoin's 1.5%. So definitely to the BTC pairing, these coins are now slowly but surely outperforming Bitcoin. Meaning if you took one Bitcoin's worth of AVAX, you'll have 5% more Bitcoin and 5% more profit in dollar value. Simple as that. Okay. So let's then do this. I'm going to go to a screen that is clean for the beginner tutorial. And I want you guys to go into your indicator section because I want to give you a tool. I want to give you something that's going to really help you going forward. And just load the trend scope indicator. It's the indicator that I built using various public indicators out there, but I managed to structure it in a way so that it can guide you, the beginner, through the thought process required to identify whether something is bullish or not. Simple as that. Okay. And for today, I'm not going to go through all of those processes because you can actually go to my Discord, go to the public section. Where is it? Public info area. Links to all of this in the video description. And you can actually click on, let's get this, education. And there's a whole trend scope indicator tutorial in there on how to set each one of the various screen sets or presets how to read them, the rules, the conditions, and everything there. So you can go and read up on that on your own time. So simple as that. It's completely free. You don't need to do anything. Just go and use it. So I want to show you guys the super trend function. So super trend in its basis uses various oscillators and to calculate, to tell you whether the trend is bearish or whether the trend is bullish, whether it is distributing or accumulating. Those future, additional information, this accumulation stuff, that is a little bit more advanced. So all we want to try and look for is just whether it's bullish or bearish. Simple as that. So on the monthly time frame, this thing is telling me that it's bullish. It's blue line. It's giving you a baseline. Okay. If we scale this to the weekly time frame, yes, it's still bearish. But if we scale this thing to the daily time frame, what are we doing now? Okay, so AVAX is about to break through that line. Once it breaks through the line, it doesn't mean it's over. You've missed the bus. Because typically what it will do is it will break through, break the bearish sentiment, and then start building a base. And it's in this base that this occurs. Boom, boom, up until the move. So there's a lot of time. And as I always say within the Discord, if you open a Bybit account, support the content, okay, you'll be able to unlock the HODL Guide channel. And in the HODL Guide channel, I basically explain to you how you need to buy once you identify a coin that is breaking. Like your A1, your A2, and your A3, meaning you buy a little bit, you add to your position, now you have your full position and the market's ready to move. And in those steps, A1, A2, A3, you basically reconfirm or reaffirm with yourself that there's actually a trend forming, because what if this is that and it just breaks down? So you don't want to just throw money in it stupidly wise. Okay. So that's what we need to be looking for. There's your A1, there's your A2, there's your A3. Well, on this one, it's a little bit messy. A3, A1, A2, A3, and then you enjoy the ride. So there you have it. So it's the simplest tool that you can use. So if you then switch this onto the 4-hour time frame, what have we done now? We have broken out. The trend is bullish, and we're about to fill the imbalance. And this is now a little bit more advanced. Okay, fill the imbalance just like Bitcoin did, taking it to 85K that I spoke about this morning in the trading stream. So if you want to find out a little bit more, just watch this morning's video. Okay. So that's the easiest way to look at it. So that's the simplest tool that I can give you guys that you can use to look at these coins. Okay. Now, over to the comment section. Let's quickly see what we've got. Let's see. There's a lot of. Can you check Sonic, AVAX, a few coin requests? I'm looking for a question. How to hodl, that kind of question. Okay. Let's see what Jewel has to say. Rudo. These seems to be hidden bullish divergence between 9-2 and now on the weekly time frame. I presume you're talking about Bitcoin. And yes, the play was from the beginning for Bitcoin is that when you look at this chart, we were looking for strong bullish divergence to occur on the daily time frame. Okay, there. Because on the weekly time frame, we had hidden bullish divergence. Okay, price is making, RSI is making a lower low, although price is making a higher low. And that's why we tagged that as A1. And then also we had an area within this range where statistically hidden bullish divergence always occurs. And last week, we were wicked right to the top of that range on the fib level. Coincidence? I don't know. Statistically, that's just the most probable area where the market is going to get liquidated. And then from that point onwards, the move continues on further. Okay. So let's see what Manny has to say. In your opinion, are moves like these on AVAX a good opportunity to farm? In other words, sell some, adding imbalance or retrace? No. The problem that I have with farming at this given stage is the following. I'm going to head to the daily time frame on AVAX. When you farm, the way that I look at this is, I'm looking for daily or weekly divergences and breaks of trend to say, okay, let's farm. Meaning, let's say, and this is now, maybe let's just explain farm for somebody that is new. You buy, you've got 100 coins here. Now you're holding it. 100 coins you bought at $6. Now it's at $60. So you've made a nice 10x on your bag. So now the idea is to sell 30 to 50% of that. So you say minus 50. So you've got 50 coins left at the top. And when you come back down here, you take that 50, which is now in USDT, and you buy the dip to ride the next wave, meaning you won't have 100 coins anymore. You'll have 50 coins plus probably, if price gone down more than 50%, we'll probably have 200 coins at that stage. Let me just, nearest makes no difference. You'll probably have 200 coins at that stage. So now when the next run occurs, you've got more coins doubling. That's farming. Now, if you then look at this, farming within this range is exceptionally hard. And if you're a beginner, the best that you can do is, what if you sell, but it's that sell? Then what? Now you're sitting with all your money out of the market. The market runs too fast. You're looking for a retrace because we want to be entering at good support levels. So none of this you're going to find here is going to be providing you with any real good buying opportunity that is safe. So you're going to be sitting with your stable in your hands and saying, oh, now what? So you don't want to be trying to be too smart. It's almost the biggest undoing that we do for ourselves. And when we get something right, we want to be almost more right the next time. And I use the word more right because when you're right, you're right. It's simple as that. So you got lucky, you're in the run, then just enjoy it. So the basis is no farming at this stage, just ladder. So what do I mean? If you've got $1,000 to spend on AVAX, okay, I've already shared an entry at support area. Go make a higher high first, then come back. I will spend some more, meaning from that $1,000, you should at least now used about $300 as per the video, $200, $300. Then when we get there, you add another $300. Okay, now you've got $600, and then it will probably establish what is an uptrend. And then on those lows, you put the rest in, and then you wait. So now is not the time to try and trade an investment. Never trade an investment. So now is not the time to even try and do that. Just ride it out, Manny. And I would rather than wait until we get to the top, because that's the farm cycle. For me, farming is get out there, get in there, get out there, get in there. And there's one big take profit strategy that I always use with anything, guys. Once it doubles your money, sell half and then take it off the table. Because then those coins become free coins. It's a free investment. And it's a free ride for you to find out how high it can be, where to take profit. And then guess what? When the next new hot coin comes your way, you actually have cash to get in on it. Okay. Let's see what else we have. Manny, let me know if that answers your question. What else we have? Look, this is a South African related question. There's a lot of on-ramps, and I'm no specialist on this, but I would stick with the big three in South Africa. I think it's Luno, then something Raven, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that, and then Altcoin Trader. And if you're battling with something, then just move on to the other ones. I'm personally using Altcoin Trader. I know the, not as a friend, but as met the owner, and it's been working for me for the last, whatever, how many, 7 years that I've been trading in crypto. So that's just my take. He's got a dedicated website and a YouTube channel. So if there's any frustration or anything, you can always go and check. There's probably got a video for you there that can rectify that. So go and check Altcoin Trader on YouTube, okay? Let's see what else we have. Valor, there you go. Not Raven, Valor. Thanks, Mr. Altecos. Look at where my mind's at. Wrong coin. There you have it. So there you have it. Valor and Luno and Altcoin Trade. Stick to those three. Don't use any other. Okay, simple as that. Right. Let's see what else we have. When crypto meetup. You know what? I live in an area where there's literally nobody around me. So if I have to do a meetup, I need to travel. And I don't like traveling, but I will probably do something like that with you guys. I need to do a Europe trip. I need to go and physically meet Peter and all the Slovenian and Croatian guys. So I'll probably schedule a meetup then. And I don't know when I'm going to be in Cape Town again, but if so, then I'll definitely do a meetup with you guys. I promise I'll do that. Okay. Okay. Now everybody's got the tools. Everybody knows what they need to do. There's about 200 people joining live. I want to say thanks to each and every one of you guys for taking the time joining live with me. So let's quickly apply what we've done to AVAX again in a very fast way. So I'm going to switch on the trend scope indicator. I'm going to switch on the super trend. Okay. And then for those that has opened their Blowfin account or their Bybit account or Prime account that's got access to the buddy indicator, you can ladder this in by saying, okay, override the colors to give you the indication of what kind of market environment you're in. Okay. And then you can use the super trend. And once those candles get colored light blue on the downtick, and the super trend gives you the blue, you basically have all the momentum oscillators, all the TA done in the background with the indicator to help you start grabbing in more points. It's literally as simple as that. Okay, there you have it. Light blue with the blue on the base. Light blue with the blue on the base. And the thing about indicators is, guys, is they don't have downtime, they don't have opinions, they don't have biases, and so forth. They just show you what the oscillators, what the momentum, the real buying behind it is actually doing. Okay. Now I want to talk to you guys about OM real quick. For the longest time, this thing has been extremely bullish. And every time we opened the bubbles, this was OM, big OM there. And not to rub salt in anybody's wounds, because that's never the idea. The fact that this happens is, you know, from a fundamental. I've been reading up on Grok to try and tell me what's the gist. There's always a lot of theories around this, and basically the leading idea is that the creators dumped coins, basically forcing liquidations for everybody that was staking on the platform. And the way that I always say this, if you find yourself in something like this, is wait for the dead cat bounce. You've basically already lost. So selling now doesn't really change anything. You know, this thing went from $7 to 70 cents. So it's down 90%. But wait for the dead cat bounce, because what will happen in a few weeks from now, and we can use Luna as probably the best example of that. So we're going to use Luna. Luna Classic. I think it's supposed to be Luna Classic, if I'm not mistaken now. The original Luna. Isn't it? Oh no, there's Luna. This fine. Okay. You see what happens? Same thing. Boom. We're down there. There will be a dead cat bounce. When you get that dead cat bounce, it could be the difference from being down 90 something percent. Okay, so this thing went negative, but okay, 99% or 70%. So there will be a little bit of a retrace. And the easiest way to look at this is to say to yourself, okay, what happens? We won't reclaim the 23.6. So if you go back to OM, this is your exit. Whatever the reasons, however they're going to move it, this is your exit zone. You know, don't stay on a sinking ship. There's rockets going to be passing you by. You can always just move that funds into somewhere else. Do the following. Say to yourself, there's the fib. Let's switch it around. Boom. Your dead cat bounce will take it to at least $2. Get the hell out. Simple as that. Not financial advice. Now, as for not trying to rub salt in everybody's wounds, the market will always give you early take profits. That's why I don't want to wait for things to kind of happen. It's easy for me to say I've not lost anything on this move, but it's clear that you can see that there's always going to be some divergence at highs. Price staying below structure and rejecting from those areas. Okay. Creating lower highs but higher highs on the RSI, hidden bearish divergence, establishing a trend. Now, is the idea that it drops this low? No. If it did this, everything would still be okay. And then this was the hope for anybody that should be taking profit there to say, well, buy back. And those guys got liquidated. And. So this is just that perfect storm of being screwed over in crypto markets, but also being screwed over by your own greed if you haven't taken profit. Everybody gets to go through this once, minimum. And if it was your turn now, I really feel for you, but I also want you to take this from a massive learning opportunity and say to yourself, listen, it's been since March. The writing's been on the wall to take profit, get out, you're in, you were great. And if you bought late, then taking profit wasn't an option for you, is to kind of say that, okay, how do I ladder myself up, improve my standing or something like that? Okay. If you need a little bit more, you want to join the community in my Discord, you're more than welcome to do that. Head over to the navigation channel in my Discord. There's a lot of deals, a lot of ways you can join my HODL community. A new HODL report will be dropping there, where I'll be showing all the latest coins that I'm going to be looking for. They get it first, they get it in depth, and so forth. And then from that point onwards, I'll be back with you guys on this format channel where we can look at more coins. Okay. Right. So for now, enjoy your Bitcoin cash run. It can come back to $300. It's more than fair assumption. And then you want to start seeing us building a base for our next big move up. AVAX, I think, is going to be very green tomorrow. Probably we'll have that little breakout on AVAX. And for the rest of the coins, you guys know where to find me. Thanks so much for taking the time. I've given you the tools so that you can, it's completely free, so you can go and have a look at your own coins and kind of apply a, unbiased, unopinionated view on what happens. I've given you enough information to kind of navigate when something like that, what happened with OM happens, because it's going to happen to more coins. You'll get meme rugs. You'll get it everywhere, guys. It's not something unique only to DeFi. Human greed's always going to be there. So this is the way that you can kind of navigate that. So when the market's giving you profit, think of it like an ATM that just pushed the money out. If you walk away from the ATM, somebody else will come and take that money. And when you come back, that will be empty. It's simple like that. So you almost need to, when it's pushing money out, when it's giving you your take profit signals, doesn't necessarily mean the trend is over, but it gives you those take profit signals. Take the profit, get away, and say that, okay, this is good enough for now. There will always be the next move. Okay. Have a lovely day. Thanks so much, guys. And yeah, let's see. Is there anything else? 90 days. It's just a dip. Yeah, for crypto traders, it's just a dip. It's nothing too crazy. Okay, guys. Talk to you later. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.